Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I am going to present my presentation on the dissertation that I have prepared for my master's semester 4. The title of my dissertation is Deconstructing Gender Stereotypes, a feminist study of selected Indian advertisements. These are the chapter list. In the first chapter introduction, I have tried to trace the cultural studies by listed some of the communication and media studies listed by Pramod K. Nair, in which it says depicts the ideas related to portrayal of women and feminist study in terms of cultural studies and how culture affects the gender representations. Then I came to the advertisements as a means of communication between the consumer and the producer, the one who is making the product, who want to sell the product. Then gender-based stereotypes. As I am studying the feminist study, so I have looked at feminist study and how the deconstructive reading also incorporated in my title. And then I looked at media studies, feminist studies, and deconstructive reading, three ideas parallel. In the chapter 2 literature review, while doing my findings, there I came to know that in terms of Indian advertisements, there is a few research is done. So I have taken the support of media studies books and articles, and then I came to advertisements and portrayal of gender stereotypes in the articles world across articles and books across the world. And then I finally reviewed some of the articles and books that are relating to the Indian advertisements in recent day or even in the beginning. So in the first chapter, I have traced the history of advertisement from magazine to this to till the date digital advertising as well. The hypothesis of my dissertation is based on the how gender roles are portrayed in advertisements and thoroughly examining it in terms of feminist lens. It also to explore relevance of feminism in contemporary Indian society, because critics have argued that feminism is not that much relevant to analyze, but studying this media, how the study of this medias like advertisement falsifies that ideas. So I have tried to deconstruct the language and visual portraits and binaries through like how can biases and can be seen through this binaries language and visual portraits. In chapter 3, I have done the analysis. As the advertisements analysis I cannot find, so I have to go to the advertisements to analyze the language, all the things portrayed in the advertisement. First, I have done that, and then I talked about representation of women in advertisements. In this chapter, I have talked about how portrays women in apparently in a progressive or regressive role. And then in the ending part of this dissertation chapter number 3, I have talked about by taking these arguments of some of the critics, how progressive role is portrayed in terms of women in advertisements. Some of the Indian articles that I have found that says that women are getting a good portrayal or progressive portrayal, but there are some of the researchers that have also mentioned that though there are some this progressive portrayal, but there remains some concerns related to it that I have depicted in chapter 4. This chapter also comprises the concept of advertising due to the growing concern of feminism and advertising. This concept that includes feminism and advertising together. In chapter 3, I have tried to look at the advertisements that I have analyzed in the chapter 3. But here I tried to apply the indecent representation of women, that Prohibition Act of 1986 in India. But despite of that role portrayal, there are certain advertisements that keep on carrying some of the stereotypical representation of women while talking about the feminist lens. There are portrayal of women. There are some of the common points that I have taken in chapter 3 and chapter 4, but the analytical style is different. In the third chapter, it is not in deconstructive style, but in this chapter, I have tried to deconstruct those narratives who cannot be identified by the apparent ways. In this slide, you can see that there are some sensuality that has been portrayed throughout the advertisements. There are some binary oppositions. Like in most of the advertisements, it has been found that women are at the center and women remains in the dominant role. But at the same time, while thinking about Derrida's binary opposition, it becomes apparent that the absence of men is also dominating the role of women. So though the men are absent, but the role of women remains in terms of sensuality and beauty standards and all that things. In this chapter, I have tried to look at some of the advertisements that talks about the progressive role of women. That are some ads related to products are carrying some ad campaigns related to feminism and Share the Lord by Ariel, Dove, Stop the Beauty Test. So there are some of the language and gesture body postures that describes some of the sensual and beauty standard perspective. But at the same time, some of the campaigns and advertisements that are looking at women in a much progressive way, what they are portraying, it is not seen in the advertisement of their actual product. So their campaign and their ways of portraying their own advertisements remains the very different. Even in the advertisements, like when it is talking about the role of mother, once it is taking women as a mother, and at the same time it is expecting to be as beautiful that it can look as a younger girl. So it is also said, even in the Lakme 9 to 5 cream, even it is a cream applied on the face, it is related to weight. So apparently it is talking that women are being flying, taking adventures, but at the same time, this weight and body structures are also mentioned. Even in the Dove Beauty Contest, while analyzing this advertisements of ad campaign that is relating to the Stop Beauty Test, when analyzing the actual ad to promote their product, it is carrying out the similar trends that has been depicted by other advertisements. So even there are some of the advertisements like Tata Tea, there are carrying some of the that is carrying a campaign to bring equality and teach to hand it over to the generation. But what is the very common thing is that this Tata Tea is not relevant to the actual thing. So there is a disjointment between the product and the message it is given. In Ariel's the Share the Lord, it is also found that there are male chefs who are coming to give the ideas of detergent powder to the women, but at the same time the dominant role is possessed by men, and the subversive role is played by women. So all these binaries are found in this dissertation. So in the chapter 5, this dissertation, I came to conclusion that advertisements do perpetuate the traditional gender stereotypes, though it has been though it has been told by many critics that we do not need feminism in the 21st century India. There are new ways emerging in terms of media to perpetuate those roles. So women are depicted in some of the confined domestic rules, and beauty standards are maintained along with the sensuality related to women are also portraying. So feminist critique remains crucial to analyze and to challenge harmful representation to drive meaningful societal change. Okay. These are the bibliography. Thank you.
Okay, so a few things in primary source you have to put only advertisements. That is your primary. Article it is. Pathak. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so others will come in the secondary source. You put some images also in that. And now in the title, bring your title. when you use the word deconstruct thing, so it obviously has a connection with Derrida. So Derrida needs to be cited. It becomes a seminal one who gave the idea of deconstruction. So from that you have to start looking at it. So that has to be other. If you don't want to use that, then you can say critiquing this. But if you in the discussion, if you use this all things, stereotyping, against stereotyping, you want to read the things. So then it will be
related to Derrida's theory of deconstruction. I have referred two articles.
but not Derrida. This is seminal. So without that, you can't move on to the other people. So that is the importance of seminal people whose work should be mentioned. So people normally see title and they will think that in this person should be there. You go to bibliography, search that missing, then you find that needs to be corrected. Seminal person is missing in the bibliographic list, so that is not consulted directly. That consultation is necessary.
Okay, I will add
This and hypothesis also is like objective of study or text of hypothesis is more like objective. So that language and you have posted by asking ChatGPT how can be done. I have shared so that you can refer. You will get some idea. In your hypothesis, you say this study aims to aims means objective, and to be explore this will do this. It means it is not hypothesis, but your objective of study is discussion. So these are linguistic markers. When you use such language, it becomes objective of study. When you use the statements which can be falsified or can be argued in either way, then it becomes hypothesis. And try to take statements, hypothetical statements rather than direct. See this, perhaps ChatGPT can give you some idea. And don't forget to